Okay.
Now you can hear us.
Hey.
Let me see that.
Oh, I sure hope
Hi.
you
Am
can
I the
hear
only one
us.
without sound? No, you're not the only one without sound,
Can you
Nancy.
hear us now? Can you hear
You
us
should
now?
be able to hear us now. And I will talk about the feet
Yeah.
in just a moment. There it is.
There,
Okay.
yes, that was good.
It's a good thing I asked before we just dove into
I
things
know.
because
You missed some good laughs, but that's
it's
it.
true. New setup. We're in a new room this year.
Like a new room that didn't exist last year at this time.
This whole room did not even exist last year. And Bobby snapped her fingers and made it happen.
Let's just say,
literally,
years ago now, because we worked together for a while. I was like,
we've worked together for what, 4 years now?
Yeah, full 4, starting 5.
That's impressive.
For you or me. People like to work with me. I shouldn't say that.
No, I'm not saying you're wrong.
But I will say, years ago, I was like, we need a studio. Like, we need a space where some of this stuff is set up already. So it took a while, but we're sitting in it now.
Yeah, so what we've done, we're in half of my old office. We cut it in half,
Right.
and we made like a little studio here, which we use for the sermons and for some videos.
Yeah. I did the Eucharist video this weekend.
And this is the first time we're trying it for the after party.
Yeah.
But I like it. I'm sold on it.
You are. Well, I mean, neither you nor I are like, we have pretty big personal space bubbles. So when I sat down, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I like this. But here we are.
It's a little close. I mean,
we do it for the people.
It's not that bad. Like, I mean, there's some space, but
we do it for the people.
The feet, guys. Specifically in that episode, Bobby asked me to show my broken toe.
I think I was like, oh my gosh,
broken toe.
You're not wearing socks. I think that's
true. But I couldn't get a sock on over that broken toe that day.
How are the injuries? You had a little run on injuries.
Yeah, I sliced off the end of my finger.
Right?
What finger was it? It's that finger. It's still, I don't know if you guys can see this, that one. There's like a flat spot because I sliced off the end of my finger one day while I was doing a project here at the church, I think.
Right.
No, I was cutting stuff at home.
You had a few. And then the toe.
And I broke my toe.
Wasn't there a third?
Probably.
Yeah.
So
but
it was a rough summer.
It was a rough summer for you, bud. But here we are, and we're starting a second season, and we're glad to be here. We're glad to be in a new space. A little easier setup. I mean, you do the setup, and I prep the questions. So
that works.
It's easier for you now.
Yeah, and I'm hoping we'll find out tonight, but I'm hoping it's going to sound a little better. The mics are a little easier for us to set up this time, and the lights are a little easier in here. Although it looks a little dark on YouTube. Maybe I should have pumped the exposure just a little bit more. You look very nice on your camera. That looks good.
Maybe that's what matters.
Don't forget blacking out on a walk. Yeah, that also did happen. That was a thing. I totally forgot about that
one. This has been a season for you.
True. That was
not only for the world.
The summer, though. I'm going to count that as the spring.
Right. Because it was icy.
Yeah.
I do remember.
It was like Easter season.
Part of it. Right.
That's what I made my Easter sermon about. Was falling from the ice. Bad choice. Bad choice, because I thought it would be good, but then all it was people who were like,
just so worried.
Yeah, people are so worried. They didn't even listen to the other half of that
like
message.
how many fingers am I holding up?
And then they just sent me emails about it like, for weeks after. I was like, all right.
Okay, everybody.
I appreciate
Back
it.
off.
Yeah.
Well, here we are. We're starting the second season of After Party. We'll just go until we want to take a break. I think that was our...
Yeah, I mean, we were thinking about rolling through, at least through part of the fall. We'll take a break over Christmas.
Yeah. Take a break for Advent, maybe.
Come back in the spring for a bit.
Yeah.
Winter.
Winter.
Yeah.
We'll see how well we do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's our 5th year now, going into our 5th year working together. So we might be like, I need a break.
It's a lot of right now, because everything we talk about is season. So we're like in season 7 of Commons. And you're like, this is our 5th year working together. And our 2nd season of After Party. I'm like, I can't keep track of all these different
calendar.
seasons. you want to map this all out. What season of this are we on?
It is funny in our little culture that we're like, that we talk about the season that we're in. Rather than
I've never worked at another church that talks about like season 7 or season 5 or whatever.
No.
Year 5 or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny.
I like it though.
I was waiting for you to say that.
I do. I like the rhythm of planning the year.
Yes.
Obviously I like that, but I like even just being able to talk about, that happened in season 3 or that happened in season 4.
Yeah.
And then thinking about things. because also when we talk about planning the year, this will be the end of 7. And part of my long-term thinking has been like, at what point do we start rehashing?
Oh, the teaching.
Yeah, teaching, like not pulling out old sermons, but like going back over parts of the Bible that we've already talked about before.
Yeah.
So to think like, oh, in season 1 we talked about this.
Right.
Well, in season 8, maybe it's time to talk about that again.
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
I mean, I'm just thinking about television shows.
Yeah.
You know, do they return to themes, or themes sort of stick with them, or I don't know.
My wife is watching Friends.
Oh, really?
Right now.
I never watched much of it, but she's into it.
She likes it. She thinks it's cute. She likes to watch it when she's like not doing anything too important.
Yeah.
Like,
which is
if she's with Em and she's playing with the baby, and she'll put that on Netflix and stuff.
Nice.
So.
Ashley would like you to start Romans again.
Start Romans all over again. As soon as we finish.
She said.
As soon as we finish it, we just start at Romans. I mean, basically it's 5 years, a 5-year cycle of just restarting again.
Right.
We're doing Philippians this year, Ashley.
Ashley.
I had ideas about doing Philippians over like 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
But then we decided to condense it into 1.
Yeah, I like that.
But maybe we'll get in there and I'll just be like, no way. I'm spending 7 weeks on 2 chapters here.
Out.
I'm not sure I loved the Romans experiment.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. What did you think about it? Oops.
They were not my favorite.
I just went to a purple screen there. Sorry about that, but wrong button.
I just watched my own face. Be surprised by that. Yeah, it's hard to say. Yeah. It started before me, so maybe
it's older than you.
Oh.
Oh.
I feel old.
I didn't. I mean, it's not like I liked the idea because then we could give. There's no way I wanted to spend 30 straight weeks on the Book of Romans.
That's it. Yeah.
And I liked that we got to go in that much detail in it.
It was a fun shtick.
Yeah.
Like I like the back to Romans. Like
true.
I think you hammed that up and played it up.
And there was,
way.
there was definitely in the last, I would say 2 years, we moved through a lot of material.
Yeah.
Like we could have made that even longer.
Yeah, booked it. Yeah.
So, and after 5 years, I was like, let's get this done.
Right. I can see the importance of it. I think that there were ways that you uncovered ideas that were really important, that maybe people like sort of brought all of these assumptions with Romans.
Yeah. I thought we did good work in Romans.
Yeah. I agree.
You know,
yeah.
All of us. I'm just, I wonder about, did breaking it up over 5 years really work?
Yeah.
Because the other thing is like, if I go back and watch like the first year of Romans, I cringe a little bit.
Oh,
yeah. I talk slightly different. And,
that's fun.
You know, like,
I mean, I was just even looking over my summer sermons.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, really? You said it like that?
I would say that.
Why'd you say it like that?
So
which is just kind of true about our work. I think.
And that's where like after 7 years,
it belongs in a time.
Any of us, we could redo topics that we talked about 7 years ago with completely fresh eyes.
Very different, yeah.
So.
And our teaching team and different voices,
totally
different expression to.
Like I did Revelation in that first year. I'd love to hear you and Scott take a crack at some of those passages in Revelation.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Good
Deal.
question.
Next year, season 8, Revelation.
Deal.
You know what I have thought about? We are way off track here, but I have thought about.
But that means we're always on track for after party.
That's true. I have thought about coming back to Revelation specifically to do the 7 letters to the churches.
Oh, right.
Because we moved through that fairly quick 7 years ago because I wanted to talk about the apocalyptic imagery.
Right.
But there's some really neat stuff in those 7 letters, and you could do a whole series just in there.
Yeah, done.
There we go. First 7 weeks of season 8. Book it.
Book it. Yeah. Okay, so here we are. I wanted to begin by sort of taking a snapshot of this moment that we're in and reflecting on it a little bit. We call this after party, and we would have typically had a really big party on Sunday, and it does not. It didn't feel like that. It was lovely. I really enjoyed Sunday. I really enjoyed that we went back to 2 services. Something about, we were like, whoa, right. This is how we do 2 services, sort of running around a little bit. But it was fun to kind of be back in it. But so what I wanted to do was let's play Dissect a Tweet. So you put a tweet up at the end of the day. And I thought it would be an interesting
I'm rolling up my sleeves. That has nothing to do with your question.
It's kind of getting warm in here.
It's a little warm in here. So it's cold
I'm wearing
out.
2 layers of wool. So I'm going to be.
This studio is very small, and there's a lot of lights around right now.
Actually, there really are.
Yeah, there's a lot of lights, so it's hard getting warm in here.
I can feel it too.
Next week we may need an air conditioner in here.
I mean, just not dressed for like 12 degrees, which is what I
dressed like an onion in layers. Is that what you tell kids all the time? Pretty sure.
I don't have kids.
That's true. You deal with kids though. You gotta. Yeah.
I mean, I like them.
You do.
I think they're great. Okay, so we're gonna play Dissect a Tweet.
Right.
So I'm gonna read sections of your tweet from Sunday, and we're just gonna sort of check in about the moment.
I like this.
Thank you.
Good game.
Good game, Bobby. My youth pastor days really come through. All right. So you said it was definitely a strange day today. And I wondered, just talk a little bit about that. I mean, we're in a strange moment. Things are different, but give a little more expression to that.
Like for me in particular.
You wrote the words.
I did. That's true. I don't put a lot of thought into my Twitter. I put a lot of stuff on Twitter, whether it's worth paying attention to. I don't know. I think, I think at that moment what I was thinking about was that launch is like, there's so much work. Launch is a weird thing too. Like a lot of churches don't talk about launch.
Yeah.
We talk about launch every year because we're launching the new season, but it's also a turn for things.
Was that always a plan? Like you launched like a church plant. That seems like language that really fits for the launch. But were you like, also, I'm going to bring this back every single year? Or did it just sort of evolve that way?
So I had certain things that, I think we're struggling with. So this is part of the tweet. I think there's certain things that we're struggling with now at Commons that were very much part of the plan. When I planted, like I wanted to get away from people feeling this intense pressure that you've always got to be at church, and sort of that we ignored the rhythms of what it's like to live in Calgary. So part of the idea of Commons right from the very start was we were going to have this big launch, and then quarterly we were going to have these sort of big gathering events. So for us, it's launch, it's Christmas Eve, it's Easter, and it's Stampede Breakfast.
Right.
And those, if you look at them, they map out quarterly in the year, and they're like these big gathering points. They're lots of energy, and then we go back into a rhythm. And you let people sort of find their ebb and flow, and then you gather everybody up again, and you build that energy up. And that was very much by design.
In terms of place, like your relationship with this place.
Yeah, like
informed that.
Yeah, it was me thinking about Calgary, thinking about the rhythms here.
Yeah, makes sense.
I'm sure everywhere September is a big deal, but for whatever reason, I feel that more in Calgary than I did in Toronto. I feel like in church attendance, people disappear in the summer more than in other spots because of our weather and everything. So those were all like very much part of the plan. And you let people go, and you just like, hey, we'll see you at the end of the summer, and then you come back. But this year it was like we didn't have that big gathering for people. We still put all the work into planning a journal. We still did a lot of work. You helped. We all sat around and we stuffed those journal envelopes with swag to send out to people and stuff. So there's a lot of work, but then you don't get this big like payoff. And to be perfectly honest, some of that's just, it's ego and it's excitement, because it's like we put all this work in and 1,200 people showed up. And you're like, you pat yourself on the back and you smile a little bit, and then you get back to work the next day. But this was like all that work, and then there was no like moment to sort of be like,
which we've been feeling on Sundays anyways, because we've put a lot of work to every single Sunday in this strange time. And so, I mean, there has been loss in terms of how we navigated our own sense of joy and, team, all of those things. But in this moment, especially, I think that's really, very true.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what I was kind of reflecting on. Yeah. That sort of the beauty of it, because it was beautiful.
Yeah.
But it was not the same. It was different. There wasn't that big moment to sit back and like, we did that.
Yeah. I mean, that Sunday we broke 1,000.
Yeah. The first time.
Yeah. Was that a Christmas? No, was that a launch or Easter?
Well, I mean, the very first time we were over 1,000 was a Christmas Eve.
Okay.
I think it was that. But the first time we did it on a launch Sunday, it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah. But those moments were so exciting. Yeah, this building isn't that big, so it's almost like an illusion. Yeah. Like, how could we have had that many people?
Yeah. And you go all day, because it's like 5 services.
Yeah.
And it's like at 9:00 at night. Yeah. You finally sit back and you're like, man, I can't believe we pulled that off.
Totally.
And this year was kind of like, all right, we did that thing.
It was like a little more exciting than some of the other, because we added a 9:00 and it worked and it felt really nice. But it was like, Now I'm gonna go home.
Yeah.
See you on Zoom later.
Yeah. Like I was here in the office for the 7 p.m. and we did the Zoom, and then you're like, all right, bye everyone. And then I sat in my office for a while and
did you shed a tear?
I don't know about that, but I did sit in my office for a while.
Yeah, just take a moment.
Hey Siri, play my chill mix. So.
That's one of my favorite things I hear you say sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, cue. There it is.
That's how I want to do work. Like if I play my favorites.
No, I know because I work right there.
Yeah.
You work right there. Hey Siri, play my chill mix. I'm like, okay.
He's doing some work. He's rolling up his sleeves, getting some stuff done. No.
Oh gosh, it is warm in here. I can just feel
it's true. The other thing is like behind this door.
Yeah. Is all that equipment.
Is all like our server and our NAS and all our networking equipment.
And I'm
so there's like if you put your hand down at the bottom of that thing, there's like emanating from outside that door because all our server equipment is back in there. So.
Okay, so next part of the tweet. Okay, so it was definitely a strange day today. Yep. So this is you tweeting all alone Sunday
night. Listening to my chill mix.
To kick off a new season at Commons Church. Yep. I don't think we need to talk about that. We've talked about it. Without seeing all the faces and reconnecting to all of the stories we love. I thought that word choice was interesting, but talk a little bit more about why you said that the way you said it.
Well, I mean, I'm going to repeat some stuff here, but that was mainly, that part specifically was about me reflecting on the idea that launch every year was designed from day one to be the let's all gather back in, let's all reconnect, let's all get on the same page. We're not going to see everybody every week, but I know.
Yes, it's like a reunion.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and not just for us, for all kinds of people. So, you know, we have a friend, very tall friend who plays some basketball here.
Yeah.
He's not watching tonight. I know.
Yeah, right.
Maybe his wife is watching, but he, you know, he's this guy he's very quiet and reserved and stuff. But he was like, you know what, I'm a little, I forget his language. He said, I'm disappointed because launch, it's like I come back, I see everyone. He's like, and this year, he's like, I'm gonna have to put in more effort to make sure I reconnect with everyone. I mean, he was being thoughtful, and he was saying like, I'm gonna do that this year.
Yeah.
But he's like, church is the place where all of my friends from all these different sort of social groups, we all show up in September and we all reconnect, and then we don't hang out all the time, but we sort of like, that's our basis for then how we're going to reconnect throughout the year. And he's like, I don't know what that's going to be like this year. And that's kind of what I was saying is like, oh yeah, it's not like people are still out there. We can still obviously connect with them. You don't have that built-in moment.
Right.
So
yeah, that's really true.
Yeah.
When I was growing up in Saskatchewan, the big moment, everyone would go home at Christmas to Esterhazy, Saskatchewan, and there'd be a big cabaret.
What's a cabaret?
Boxing Day cabaret. It's just like everyone gets really drunk. You see your old friends from high school.
Like Cabernet, like a...
No, like a cabaret. Like,
I don't know what that is.
Like... I'm kicking like the dance.
Oh, like cabaret dance. Okay, I have
it's not
heard that.
It's just like a dance and a party at the one hall, you know. But I would go. Not, and it was like you'd see these people. I was kind of staying in touch over. I hadn't put those two kinds of events together before.
Yeah,
that these launch experiences are sort of like this. Everyone has come back.
Yeah,
it's like, how was your year? Oh my gosh. See you next year at the cabaret.
People ask, like, we've had people ask, like, why do you guys do like the food trucks at launch and Easter and stuff? And that's what it's for. It's like, because we're all back and we're all here. And that's another chance to hang out, talk with people, stand in a line, get some food.
Yeah.
You know, it's fun.
Yeah.
Nobody comes to church because we got empanadas. I mean, that's not the idea.
That was a good year.
Yeah, that was a good year. But the idea is like it's a connecting point where now we're going to share some stories and we're going to reconnect. And that's going to serve as the basis for the next 3 months of interactions before the next big gathering point.
And we were talking about that sort of place of those kinds of friendships too. I mean, you're referring more to some older friendships that people have had for a long time, but that place where like church is this place that you can like sort of saddle up alongside somebody and have like a meaningful, not necessarily super deep conversation, but you can be like, oh, like we're at least on the same page here. Or like you share something of a quality moment together.
Totally.
That's maybe not with your best friend or, that kind of, or the hope of, maybe I can develop that friendship. This is a nice place to make those relationships.
That's
and
I
think
look around like, I could be friends with that person.
Yeah, right.
They would be friends with me.
Yeah, it's an interesting moment of like reflection and loss and hope for, what we can move towards. Okay, that was one of two. Like you did two tweets.
It was too long.
So the next part is, and this is just where you listed the reality of the moment we're in. So you said, but 2 socially distanced, mask wearing, in-person services, and 3 more online live stream services later. And I am extraordinarily grateful. I don't know why I'm reading it that way.
I like the flourish. If I could have done that.
Thank you. For the work I get to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know what we need to say about that. Do you want to add anything? I mean, I think it's helpful to name it. Yeah. You're doing some work of naming the moment that.
It wasn't just the work I get to do. Wasn't that's not the end of it?
No, it's not the end.
Yeah.
And the people I get to do it with.
Right.
Right. So a moment of, gratitude while naming.
Yeah. I mean, it's just interesting to sort of name, again, the strangeness of the day. Like wearing masks.
I know.
Socially distanced. Preaching behind a plexiglass barrier.
Yeah. Multiple barriers up there.
Yeah. Serving the Eucharist in individually handmade packaged.
Let's talk about that. We don't have to talk about that.
By the way, if you were here and you shared the Eucharist with us, Bobby made all of those Eucharist packages
only because I'm an idiot.
With meticulously clean.
It's true. I had scraped, I had washed my hands so much that they were chapped that day. Here's
the side story. We had ordered prepackaged Eucharist kits so that they would be sanitary. They didn't arrive in time. They'll be here, I think, this week.
Right.
So we'll have them for later this year. But we wanted to go ahead with Eucharist. Yeah. And so, we tried different things. Bobby did some different experiments and came up with these individual Eucharist kits. Because the Eucharist is such a, I think, beautiful, but also I think a very important part of why we gather.
Yeah, it's profound.
It is.
Do you know, for the first time, sometimes I have to admit, I'm waiting always for some sort of more mystical moment in the Eucharist. And sometimes it's just like, okay, here it is. I'm just doing this ritual. But on Sunday, I had for me, an interesting reflection that was quite personal. But because we haven't experienced the Eucharist that close to what we did on Sunday for a long time. I mean, we've tried a number of different things. We've done them we
haven't done an in-person embodied Eucharist together since March.
I mean, I've always been a church goer. Many different parts of my, tradition, or parts of my story are in different traditions. But for some interesting moment on Sunday, I mean, maybe it was the work of taking hours to put those packets together. I was really holding. I grew up Catholic, so even the preparation of the elements still holds something quite, again, it's robed and it's it has a certain reverence to it. I mean, I packaged the grape and cracker in paper bags with washi tape on it. It was not a goblet and a white cloth, all of that. But I had this moment sort of caught up in that moment thinking about, I'm actually, this sounds so weird to say out loud, but I'm here with all the other parts of myself. I'm in this ritual has been in my life as long as I can remember. And all of those parts of me are here at the table. And there's something about that being extended to the community as well. My own diverse self is all here at the table, but all of our diverse selves are here at the table.
And I think this is important because we're not we don't have a symbolic reading of the Eucharist. We have a sacramental understanding of it at Commons, and as part of our tradition. We don't try to explain that necessarily the same way other traditions, like the Catholic tradition does. But our understanding is that when we share the Eucharist, this is not just, a symbol of Christ's body and blood. This is the presence of Christ with us in this moment. Yeah. And so I totally resonate. Obviously, every time we don't individually make all these things, but I do resonate with the experience of preparing that moment and getting that ready and realizing that, you are facilitating a real encounter with the risen Christ in that moment in a, not just in a symbolic way, but in a real way.
Yeah.
I think that's, I totally resonate with that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was fun. I don't know.
But it was a beautiful moment. I thought it was great. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah. But again, the weirdness of the moment is that I was further, I did the invitation and I was further back from the community than I've ever been. You know, I was behind glass up on the stage where on that Sunday, Kevin was standing to lead. And I was looking out at people in their masks. Like the kind of connection was just located here. It wasn't, oh, you're smiling. Oh, yeah, I see you over there. Like, it was like, okay, here we are.
Yeah.
But that was. So yeah, you were just expressing that. So we can move on. You said, here's to year 7.
That's right. But also, I mean, the one thing I was going to say is when I talked about, so 2 things, the work I get to do, I think you've sort of named that, the beauty of the things that we get to do. Like I really think it is like a profoundly, I love my job. Like not just because I work a lot and I'm here, in the office a lot, but I really do like what I get to do. And that comes because of the people I get to do it with. Now, partly, I mean, staff. I mean, our team is just a lot of fun, but partly it is the community that is shaped and has grown up around here. Because I know pastors that have a very different experience of what ministry is like, where they feel like, look, this is my calling and, I don't enjoy this. I don't like this, but I suffer for Christ or something like that. And they think about their job that way. And, maybe there are seasons of that, but that is not ever my experience at Commons. Like I come out of board meetings, like enthusiastic about my job. And I know pastors that, that is the worst part of their job, but we have such a supportive community that is enthusiastic about the work and enthusiastic about, the life of Christ and the way of Christ, who I think will push us and challenge us when they think we, need to reflect on something or do something differently. But, never do I worry about that coming in a sort of, I never worry about the tone or the intention behind those types of things. So that's a big part of it too. Is the weirdness of this moment and the loss of everything that's going on, but still recognizing, okay, we get to do it in this community with these people, with this team, which is a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. And there was something about Sunday too. I was impressed by the experience of again, this kind of larger idea, like the church, she has persisted. And I thought oh, we're a part of that. She's not going anywhere. I think we'll keep up, with the changes needed in this moment, the reflection that we're doing, the ways that we're sort of pivoting, changing, using technology. I think this is an interesting reformation moment of how do people live their spiritual lives in community while they have to be distanced, and what will it look like to return when we can? But I just kept thinking oh, isn't she beautiful? She persists. And that's not to say that churches won't, there will be, we've talked about this, there will be churches in our city and across this country, all over the place, that won't make it through this time. And I grieve that. I think
and it's a very
real communities, people who've clung to each other through tragedy and births and deaths and marriages, all of that. But also larger, I thought, she will live on past those moments. And I don't want to make light of that at all.
No,
but
I understand.
That moment of just oh, the church has been through many struggles.
And Commons will survive this.
And
I mean, this is the beauty. I mean, this is the thing, is we are so blessed. The position that we're in as a community and the people and just the strength of the community that we're not in danger of not surviving this like a lot of churches are.
Exactly.
But I think your bigger point about the larger church, capital C, she's going to be around.
She's around.
And even the time when we won't.
Yes, exactly.
Commons will survive this.
Yeah.
But there'll be a time when our day is over.
Right.
My day and your day and maybe Commons day. And that's okay too, because things live and die and they have their seasons. But the church has been around for 2,000 years.
Exactly.
And we survived a lot.
And the ritual, coming to the table, welcoming one another with our differences, that is, I mean, I loved the ritual on Sunday. It highlighted again for me, the larger thing that we get to participate in. I choose that, even for all of the ways that a church hurts the world, she heals the world, Anyways.
Cool. That's a lot at a one time.
So
just listening to my chill mix.
Alone in this building on Sunday. Oh, I miss the empanadas. Okay, so we're gonna try to wrap it up at 8:45. It gives us about 10 more minutes.
Yeah, we're thinking about. We were targeting an hour last year, and some went longer, some went shorter. I think this year we're gonna try and target 45. Some might go longer. They're not gonna go shorter. but we're gonna try 45.
Also, I'm just so overheating in here.
I know. The next time we'll get some airflow or something.
I just have to. Okay. So let's talk about the series. We started a new series, and it's about questions. It's called Strange Exchange, and you kicked it off on Sunday with the first question. Mm-hmm. Well, the context is questions Jesus asks.
Yeah.
The people around him, and so the first question that we were talking about was,
who do you say I am?
Okay.
So, by the way, when you talk about the people, it just reminds me, because that's my son calls everyone at church all the time. He talks about that. He's like, you should tell that to the people.
I think it's a hilarious phrase. So, Strange Exchange. Why this series? Why now?
Yeah, I mean, I think already threw this question at me as we lost the camera. That's all right.
Okay.
We just don't have this one anymore.
Oh, it's interesting. It's fine. Turn it off.
I'm gonna try and turn it back on and see if we got it. I don't have a great answer for this one. Like it's not like we shaped this series for this moment or for COVID or anything. But I do think this is a season. So it wasn't shaped because we wanted to talk about questions during COVID, but I think it is a question where we're all sort of asking questions and we're open to thinking about things in a new way. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the interesting things about Jesus is the ways that he kind of, so I used a Bonhoeffer quote this week.
Yeah, at the beginning.
At the beginning, this idea that Jesus sort of defies social conventions when he doesn't feel like they're useful.
I like that. Mm-hmm.
And Bonhoeffer is like, do not be afraid of this freedom, even when it seems the negation of all order and piety. Yeah. It's a Bonhoeffer thing. That's what he talks. But I just liked that idea that, okay, we're in this moment where, a lot of things are the negation of order and piety and the things that we're used to, and so how does Jesus sort of cut through all that anyway to get us to think about new ideas and stuff? And I thought, let's go after that. Let's ask some questions of Jesus. I wanted to start with so every year we have an Old Testament series, a New Testament letter, and a Words of Jesus. I wanted to start with the Words of Jesus.
Yeah.
I just felt like it was a good place to start right now. We don't always do that in the fall. Right. In fact, we've done Old Testament narratives a lot in the fall.
Yeah, that's true.
But I just wanted to start with Jesus. And I thought this whole idea of the way Jesus interrupts our moments with questions felt like, again, not as a direct response to COVID. It just felt appropriate right now.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. I mean, I think this is the beauty of the planning meets the moment.
Yeah.
Like, I think that, again, we're back to a larger tradition, like a ritual of having a plan. I mean, the Jewish community has done this for a long, long time. Catholics, mainline churches have a lectionary that they follow. They don't change that, but it has a profound way of still meeting a moment. Like you're planning and the moment in careful reflection and I'd say prayer, you end up being like, oh, this is a perfect series for this moment. That
happens so much for us.
It really does.
It really does.
So it's an interesting, like, to plan and to stay flexible, like holding those things together.
And there's some times where it's like, I would say, a thing happens in the world or the community and you're like, oh, we can shape this in a way and that's beautiful. Then there's times like your How to Be Angry series that just like emerged in a moment where it was like the world was angry and saying like these things need to change and justice happen. You're like, how does that come together? Like not just that you bring that idea
working
to the
out
table.
My own anger for 3 years, and I was like, I want to talk about this.
Table, but that we're like, we put it at that moment in the year. Like it was, sometimes things happen. You're just like, it's a little spooky. But generally, exactly. Generally, as a rule, I think what you're talking about is really beautiful. That space where it's like, if you have a thoughtful plan, that has been prayerfully pulled together from,
and we do it in relationships and in community too. We're always kind of moving that through.
So if there's enough voices in there, then you know that as the year unfolds, there's going to be room to massage things to meet the moment.
Yes.
Without needing to toss that.
Yeah.
Now, I think
never had to do that.
I think if one of us planned the whole year on our own, I think we would struggle with that more. And I think we've also learned things about how do we give ourselves flexibility and what does that look like.
Right.
But it is an interesting thing to plan that far ahead.
I mean, I love the personal questions. So I warned you about this. But I'm curious about your own relationship with questions. Because I feel like I know your relationship with answers, you know, like, but I was thinking about it myself, like, what is my relationship with questions? Like, what are the questions that have like stopped me in my tracks or been like really important that people asked me? You know, I mean, you said to me, I don't know, a couple of years ago, like, what do you want? You know, what do you want to do? You know, just in terms of my role. And that was a really important moment for someone to be like, oh, you care about like not just like what I can do, but like what I want to do. You know, that felt like an important question moment for me. Like, what is can you think of any like a moment where somebody asked you a question and it just kind of like did that in your world?
You know, I can. I'm trying to think through what I want to talk about.
I know.
Or if I want to talk about it. But I do, as I think in the back of my head about what I'm willing to talk about.
Right. That's fine.
I do think questions have a profound ability to sort of stop us in our tracks and say, you know, what is really going on? What's really important to you? You know, what are you really pursuing here? You know, and again, okay, so without, you know, going into a whole lot of personal detail, I do remember, I think we talked about this actually. Oh, what was I doing? I was cleaning up my Evernote and I came across notes from a session I had with the life coach 10 years ago. So it was in 2009. So it was just last year. But it was like, you know, what were my 1 year, 5 year, 10-year goals? And I was sort of looking back on that.
Yeah.
But I remember the work I had done, you know, over months in those conversations, but particularly as I sort of compiled it down and put it into my Evernote, the thinking about like, what do I want to do? And then I looked at some major life changes that have happened to me in the last 10 years, like in the last decade. You know, that's where Rachel and I decided, you know, to do kids and family and do adoption and to leave my job and start a new church and
moved
houses, which was also a big choice because we moved from the suburbs to inner city and we downsized, but we increased our mortgage at the same time. And, you know, like, I mean, these were all sort of big choices. But looking at those in the light of what I had said I wanted in response to somebody's question 10 years ago, and seeing how the scary choices that I had made were not random. They were in response to a question of what do you want? And then thinking through, you know, how do I get to those places and what does that look like? And I'm not saying my life is, you know, exactly what I envisioned now in this moment. I mean, in some ways it's better. But I do think, the right person that you trust to ask you the right question when you're vulnerable enough to hear it. Right? Because we probably hear questions all the time that just bounce off of us. I think those have profound, I just whacked the table there, profound impact on who we are, who we become, how we think about ourselves. And I think that's really important. You know, I think the moment you stop having people around you that ask you hard questions, and hard doesn't mean like they're going after you.
No.
Hard can mean what's important to you. Right? Because that's a hard question to answer sometimes. But the moment you don't have those people around you who feel comfortable to sort of ask, I think it gets really hard to grow and change and continue on. You know, I think that's when you become stagnant. Then you become less creative, and I think you just become less interested in what you're doing.
The other questions that I was reflecting on before this, the ones that came to mind were actually like of a different nature. Like they came from people I kind of didn't like to listen to. But they were still really important questions. Like they were still a really important conduit for something I needed to hear. Just the question and the timing, even though I was like, that person shouldn't have and didn't really have that much influence. There's some humor to it. Like I can look at it and be like, I was working at a church that didn't really did not support women in senior leadership. Right. But there was one voice who said, have you thought of seminary? And I was like, oh, and really encouraged me towards, they shouldn't have done that, but did. And it changed my life. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's kind of hilarious that something about me and that, I can remember exactly where I was sitting. I can remember where that person was standing. Like it didn't have to have all of the right circumstances for that question to still matter to me and to intersect my life in a really important moment.
Yeah, I totally can resonate with that. And I think the difference becomes, are you in the moment where those words are ready to connect with you? Yeah. Sometimes, you need the right person. Sometimes you're going to just ignore those things. But sometimes we're just primed. And again, that's, to go back to language we were using before. I mean, that is the Spirit of God. The divine presence is always around us. I don't think of Spirit in the sense of that sort of like charismatic. The Spirit of God prompted this person to ask this question of you in this moment.
Don't either.
I very much resonate with the idea of Spirit being the one who's like, pay attention to that.
Yeah.
Like listen to these things.
Yeah.
I don't think Spirit makes us do anything or hokey stuff like
these
that.
These sort of marionettes. Yeah. Just getting pulled along too.
But I do believe that being attuned to the Spirit around us is, what are we paying attention to? And I know in my life, there's times that I'm aware and there's times that I'm not. Yeah. There's seasons that I'm not. There's seasons I'm just not.
Right.
For whatever reason, there's too much stress or there's too much anxiety and I'm just not aware of the words that are pushing me and challenging me.
Yeah.
But in those moments where you are, those are really powerful moments.
Yeah.
So
all that to say, questions. We're going to do this for weeks. Weeks and weeks.
That's going to be 7 more. 7 more questions.
Get comfortable with questions.
Yeah, there's some good ones.
I really think it's a great series.
Some good ones, but this one, I started working on it, but there's some tough ones too.
Yeah.
So, and tough stories.
Exactly. Like that's what I like about it. It's kind of wild. They're unruly.
Yeah.
They're like, whoa. Yeah. Like.
I read, doing research this summer, there's a couple different ways you can count Jesus' questions.
Yeah.
But
you put a number in the sermon.
Yeah, I used one. But one count 307.
That was
another one was 289, I think, in a different book that I read.
Okay.
Yeah, because in Greek there's no punctuation. So, I mean, what's a question?
Yeah.
It gets a little tricky, but
interpretation.
Exactly. But around there.
Yeah.
But then when you go to how many questions did Jesus answer?
Oh.
Most people put it somewhere between 3 and 8.
What?
That he answers directly with an answer instead of like telling a story or something like that.
Oh, man, I love that.
He gets questions and he tells stories a lot.
That's how I live. People
are
ask me questions all the time and I just tell stories.
but a story is another type of question, right? Like a story is an invitation to
exactly.
What's going on. Or you get Jesus saying, they're like, who's your neighbor?
Yeah.
And Jesus tells a story. And he just throws it back at people. Okay, well, here's a story. What do you think about that? So
okay, we are over time, but I actually want to keep going.
Yeah, sure.
So
we gave ourselves the freedom.
I was the one who was like, guys, just a heads up, we're gonna wrap it up in 45 minutes. And we're not. But I actually did want to talk about what you did with I called it in my notes your imaginative conjecture of like Peter making this affirmation of who he thinks Jesus is when asked the question. And you really painted a scene. Like, I think he walked around with this question. Right. I can't remember your words, but something you quote you.
things I said.
Yeah. But it was lovely. It was beautiful. Yeah. Like how, and it really helped me step into the story. It was very imaginative. And I wanted you to talk a little bit about that. Like sort of the liberty to use our language in really imaginative ways and for that to still be like appropriate exegesis or however you want to.
Yeah. I mean, I think
I'm for it.
Totally. I think, I think trying to figure out what's going on between the lines is one of the most fascinating things about Scripture.
Yeah.
So
that's really fun language.
Why is Jesus asking, what do people say about the Son of Man?
Yeah.
Like why? Well, my assumption in reading this story was I'm going to take all these questions as if they're real questions.
Yeah.
Like I think sometimes we read them and we're like, Jesus asks, who do people say the Son of Man is? And we treat it like it's not a real, he doesn't really want to know that.
Right.
Like it's just a,
yeah,
like,
no,
well,
like
if he wants to know,
right?
Like, why wouldn't he want to know what people were saying?
Right. So you like took the question and you walked out what it was like.
I tried to go through that conversation as if Jesus and his friends are there and he asked them those questions, if this is a real conversation, what would he be trying to get out of this? What would he be thinking about? What's going on? And then I tried, and that's where I got into like looking at the feeding the 4,000 because I'm trying to like, well, what's even going on in Jesus' mind right now?
Yeah, right.
So I like read a bit more, and I'm like, okay, we just fed 4,000 people, and no one like blinked.
Right.
You know, like if you read the story, nobody even pays attention.
Right.
They just keep eating. The disciples are like, holy cow, like how'd you do that? Everyone else is just like, whatever. So I'm like, maybe Jesus is just like, guys, does anybody know? Like, are they paying attention at all? Right. And then like the whole idea of Jesus just being like a little bit insecure.
Oh man.
And insecure is maybe not the right word, but like, is this working?
Right.
You know, are they paying it? Like, I'm like, that's fascinating to me.
Right. That seems so human.
It's so human.
Yeah.
You know, I think the line I used was the Jesus asking his friends if he's misunderstood is one of the most relatable moments in the Gospels.
Right.
Like to me, a Jesus who's like, do people get it?
Right.
Like you guys do, right?
Right.
So then,
don't you?
Yeah. Exactly. So then once you're there,
yeah,
and you've already got a Jesus sort of wondering about what are people saying.
Yeah.
Then you're like, oh, I think the next one's a real question too.
Yeah.
You know, like I think he wants to know what they think.
Yeah.
I
mean, that's relationship.
That's
relationship. What good is it if he doesn't want to know?
I think so.
I just got like a spinning wheel.
Uh-oh.
And a question mark from somebody.
Question mark from somebody? Let's see. That's probably YouTube telling us.
Oh, no. Someone else is struggling. But no.
I can see you here.
Are we back?
Okay, yeah. I can see you talking.
Okay.
We'll cut this out on you can't do that. It's fine.
Back now, Andy says. Okay, back. Okay.
So
I know I got distracted there, but
no,
yeah, sorry everyone, but glad that we came back to wrap it up.
We don't know. I don't know where we were.
I don't know. It was lovely.
The whole idea of
that. What if these questions? Jesus wants real answers. Yeah. It's real relationship. Exactly. What kind of friend asks a question and doesn't actually want to hear the other person
and then giving yourself the freedom to say, like, what would be going on?
Yeah.
Now, you said, where's the line between that and good exegesis?
Yeah.
And I think that the question there is just, do you hold your imaginative reading open-handed?
Yeah, beautiful.
You know?
Yeah, I love that.
Like, I don't, I would not hold anything in my theology about whether, Jesus had some anxiety about whether people knew who the Son of Man was as a core part of my theology.
Yeah.
As an imaginative reading that helps me connect to the Jesus of the Gospels, then go for it.
Yeah. Lovely.
Yeah. Don't build your stuff on the stuff that you fill in between the lines, but go ahead, fill in between the lines, play with it.
And it might be so good for your soul.
So good for your soul. And then you might come back a year later and you might fill in different things.
Right. Totally. That's the beauty of the scriptures. Yeah. I think we are glitching a little bit. So
maybe it's time to just wrap it up. Maybe that's what it's, it's telling us that it's too hot in here.
I know.
And our equipment is like, I can't take it anymore.
I know.
You know what? It's funny though, because I'm seeing it fine on our YouTube feed over here. But
Ashley was like, freezing now, can hear you, but not see you. Not sure if it's working. But
we went over time anyway.
Yeah, anyways, it's great. What are you grateful for?
What are you grateful for? I don't want to just say the church again because we already talked about that.
Get original.
So, yeah, I know.
I mean, go be real. Whatever comes to mind, go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boring.
No, I'm trying to think of something real. So it was, this is a bit of a mixed one. It was M's birth mother's birthday on Saturday.
Oh.
But we weren't able to see her this week. But I think so that was sort of a down thing. But I am very grateful for the relationship that we're building with her. Yeah. Even in the midst of COVID and all of this distancing stuff, the chances that we've had to reconnect with her a little bit and build that relationship. And it's really quite, there's something really beautiful there. So I'm really grateful for that because, this is a whole other conversation, but anytime you step into any type of open adoption, especially one that's complicated like this one, there's a lot of questions, and there still is a lot of questions about how things will unfold,
and things will continue to change.
Exactly, and things still could be. I'm sure there will be darker seasons and brighter seasons again, but I am very grateful for this first 6 months and how full of grace it's been. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking about right now.
Nice. I am grateful. I mean, I talked about this a lot when we were in our last season, but Jonathan and I moved into a house, and I mean, we're adjusting to that. I joked about it today in some conversations about like, turn the heat off. We're not ready to pay for all of this. we lived in 500 square feet before, and like our bills were very different. but what it's done for us to have more space outside and inside is really nice. It's really fun to see my partner like flourishing in his home space. I've loved that. So I'm very grateful.
In his basement.
He has loved it. It's quiet down there. He doesn't have to answer.
I want to come hang out in the basement, right? Especially when it's so hot. A few times I was like, I'm just going to call David and see if I can come hang out.
Love it.
I'm like, you don't have to talk. We can just like sit beside each other.
Oh my God.
Have beer. We can cheers each other every once in a while without saying anything. It'll be perfect.
You can go out and have a cigarette with him out back.
That's right.
Okay, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. This was a treat to be back, and
we'll
be back next week.
Sorry about the cutting in and out, but we'll figure that part out. And next time we'll know which mic to turn on from the get-go.
Well, you'll know, but that's how it'll work. Okay, peace out.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone.